Nintendo Switch Year in Review, even though you can't talk about it.
Yeah.
And then if Tim comes on, we'll add him in.
Ready when you are. And he's in.
Oh, Tim's in. I just
Like right as we were starting the show.
Timothy Elf.
We're not hearing you.
Timothy Elf, you are silent.
There, how's that?
That's better.
Yeah! That was an air horn. It was a really bad
Is that what that was?
Yeah.
I like that. That's good. I like the air horn.
Right. Ready?
Hi.
Tim, you've been thrown in the deep end. Sorry, mate. We're going to go now. Welcome to Nintendo Dads, episode 259, recorded on December 19th, 2019. On tonight's episode, we're going to be discussing the Game Awards, all the lovely recaps from the Game Awards, and also Switch's year in review for you. So, Jesse, it's been a long time, and I've been waiting to say this, but can you cue that sweet, sweet, sweet music?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 259 of Nintendo Dads. My name is Marty Estes, and no, you are not hearing things. That indeed is the sweet European tones of one Gary Gray, who has been resurrected, shall we say, and is now back with us on the show. Gary, man, how are you?
Simon Belmont, you will meet your doom. I have risen again from the darkest depths of the UK. I'm good.
It's Dracula.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm back. It's been busy, really busy couple of months for me. I've had uni work and like getting up very, very early from the UK side to do the podcast is not a good idea when you're going to be at work all day and then doing assignments on the night. So I've had to take a little break, but I'm back, baby. I don't know how long for, but I'm back for a little bit at least.
You know, it's ironic that you are back, that you have risen on this night where many are seeing Rise of Skywalker for the first time. So it's like Rise of Greywalker.
It is, yeah. I mean, I don't have a lightsaber, but I've got a pencil and notepad, so you guys are in trouble if you cross me. All right, you're very
That
very
is the most
letter.
British thing that I have ever heard you say on the show. I'm going to be real honest.
Do you want something more British than that? If you're a very nasty man to me, I'm not gonna give you any Battenberg with your cup of tea. You can go to bed early with a smack bottom.
Wow.
See, I understand the last sentence. I didn't understand anything else.
No, I don't know what Battenberg and tea and I don't know. Jesse, you got any translation over there for us?
No. Again, I understood the spanking, but I didn't understand anything else.
You would understand the spanking. And speaking of a man who has no way to translate, Tim Off from Minnesota. How's it going?
Hey, wait a minute. You went back to that again? Look,
Well,
I got a hat that says Detroit now, so you can't
Oh,
do
okay. Is that what that says? It looks like a bunch of dots.
I thought it was a gear shift.
that. It is. It says Detroit on the gear.
Ah, I see it now. Tim Off from Detroit. How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm happy to be on, of course, and especially because Gary's on. He hasn't been on in a while, and you too, Marty.
Yeah.
I haven't been on with you yet since you've been away for a while. So
I know it's look, tis the season of many absences, apparently. All right, Gary
Yes.
reminded me before the show that he had not even been on. The last time he was on was October,
that's been a while.
prior to the release of Luigi's Mansion. So, it's been crazy. There's stuff that we're going through, stuff that we're having to deal with. But hey, we are here tonight, and we are going to discuss last week's Game Awards, and we're also going to talk about our quest to name our Nintendo Dad's Game of the Year with the help of our patrons, with some data that Tim has started to gather, as well as a couple of other news items and things. So let's dive right into it, shall we? And our news is brought to us by the good folks over at patreon.com/ Nintendo Dads. In other words, that's you patrons. You make all these shenanigans possible. And, for just a few dollars extra a month, we can keep Gary resurrected from the grave and have him come back on the show more. No. Anyway, I'm stalling for time while I load up patreon.com here. So that, because we've got new patrons to shout out on this week's show. But anyway, Tim, why don't you talk to us just a little bit about the Discord server over there and the community that we're building with Nintendo Dads over there?
Yes, so on Discord, our community is how we like to call it. It's what we built up since a few years ago, moving away from Line. Some of you might remember that Line chat, and we kind of outgrew that and had to move over to. I would like to say that we were one of the pioneering groups to kind of go over to Discord, a few years ago. So we went over there and started creating some categories for people to fall under and start chatting under, and we can talk about certain topics like movies, like I'm sure some of you will be starting to talk about, and some games and specific systems, like not just the Switch, but some of the classic systems, or even the 3DS. Even though it might be kind of dead, some of us are still breaking it out, so we talk about it. And then even breaking out some games, especially when we start hitting our back catalog, we can start going back through some of the conversations we had before on it, or for those people who are catching up. And then we also have our monthly mayhem that we keep tracking there too. So lots of stuff going on.
Absolutely. So yeah, tons of stuff you can get into over on the Discord, including that monthly mayhem contest where we give away eShop credit every month, and we interact over there. I mean, there's even parenting talk and all kinds of other stuff going on over there. And so we're super excited about the Discord, and you can get into that for as little as $1 a month. And so for $1 a month, you can get into the Discord, you can get into the chat, all that stuff. $5 a month gets you full access to the Discord. $10 a month gets you pre and post show audio. And then $30 a month, you become a Patreon producer, and you get to come on the show. And by the way, for those of you who are Patreon producers, we're going to be contacting you very soon, near the end of this year, to set up your time to be on the show in 2020, early 2020, so that we can do that more. And so we want you there. And if you guys are part of that or want to be part of any of the show there, hey, look, it's just $1 a month, right? $5 a month, that would even be like what? Not even like getting a Starbucks one time, right? No, I need to quit. I need to quit drinking so much Starbucks. It's getting a little out of hand.
Yes.
So
it could be instead of that fast food meal that you might get, that cheap fast food meal, you can do $5.
Yeah. You could do that. And so here's the fun thing. Like, I thought that I was going to shout out some new patrons here, and I'm not, because Patreon is being uncooperative at the moment. And so we're just not going to do that. But if you're a new patron, thanks so much for being a part of that. And if you're a patron and you're not part of the Discord, you can message Mr. You can message Mr. Tim off there, and he will show you how to get in.
Now we just lost Marty. All right. So he was saying that if once you're a patron, if you have a hard time getting into Discord, message Tim, and he can help with that. So while Marty's working his way back, let's start talking about the last week's Game Awards.
Well, I can say this though, because I know we just welcomed someone by the name of Herminimo in our group, a Discord group. So I think that's where Marty was trying to get that person's name, so we can call them out. But we did welcome them to the community, so at least looks like at least one new person came in.
Yeah,
already.
that probably explains why Marty's Discord wasn't working. His internet was like, no, you're doing a
Hey
podcast. No,
guys.
no. Hi,
Well,
Marty. Welcome back.
Yeah. So, so there's a little red button down there at the bottom of the Skype window. And it's the hang up button. Don't touch that.
Okay.
I was professional over here, guys. Be professional about it. Don't hit the hang up button like I did. Uh, I was so excited about Patreon that I was just hanging up everything. I don't know. Well, let's jump into our news and let's talk about the Game Awards 2019. This happened last week. We actually did a live reaction over on our YouTube channel that you can go watch. First of all, that live reaction is about 4 hours long. And if you don't want to go and sit through 4 hours of me going, oh my gosh, every time a Magic the Gathering commercial comes on, then I don't blame you. But on the other hand, we can talk about, I guess, kind of the fallout of this, maybe even some Nintendo stuff here that we saw that maybe piqued our interest or anything like that. And so
before we get into that, I wanted to mention that I woke up the next morning. I woke up Friday morning with that video blocked in 80% of the world, including the United States, with multiple video and audio content ID claims. So I spent the next 4 days trying to clean it, cut pieces or mute pieces to clean it up. I think the one that was actually blocking videos turned into from a blocking to a revenue sharing, because of course this wouldn't just affect us, it would have affected probably 200,000 other videos.
yeah.
So I'm sure that was, and processing of the video edits were long, because again 200,000 other videos trying to get edited at the same time. It took 13 hours to mute 10 seconds of a 4-hour video, but we finally got it up and running, viewable, and with no content ID claims on it.
There you go. Good work, and we appreciate that hard and long work for you on that video.
Ryukat
also
in the
during
chat
that
is
time,
asking if my son was also on the live stream, and he was. So it was Marty,
Yes.
myself, and my son Matthew.
I really enjoyed being on there with him and getting to talk. Had never really got to hang out with him before, so that was really cool.
He's still waiting on his Smash game with Roger.
Okay. All right. We gotta make that happen. Also, during that whole video game award, I guess, claiming rights debacle, I noticed that we also got smacked for that Bouncy Bob game.
Yeah, it was by.
And I was like, well, I guess since you've sold the game for a penny, you need to make your revenue somewhere, right?
Right. So I actually did a dispute on that one, and
And won.
did we win?
Yes.
I didn't see the email, so okay, he must.
The email, I believe the email
actually,
said that it was.
All right. Well, I think the claim goes to the one who the composer in the first place, so he approved it as opposed to someone on YouTube.
Right.
So okay,
Yeah.
I didn't hear. I'm glad that happened.
Well, and speaking of being glad that happened, let's talk about a few of these video game awards. A couple of things I don't want to go through this point by point, but just a couple of things I think that are important for us to hit. Number one, the big game announcement for Nintendo Switch was Bravely Default 2, which is coming from Square Enix, presumably sometime in 2020. This is, of course, the third sequel in the or the second sequel in the Bravely Default series. It's the third game, but it's Bravely Default 2. Don't ask why.
Yeah, I'm
It's
confused. We'll find.
There's
Maybe we'll find out. Because I think
totally Xenoblade Chronicles in on this, aren't they?
Well, I think Bravely Second is a direct sequel to the original game, so I don't. This may be a completely different story in the same universe. I don't know. We'll find out.
That would probably be more likely. Also announced.
It's like Final Fantasy X, 10-2 versus Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah. Yeah, 10 and 10-2. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, the Black Order DLC Pack 2 was announced. This is the long-awaited and rumored X-Men pack with Iceman, Cable, Gambit, and somebody else I'm forgetting. But it also adds in some new modes to the game, different things like that. I believe they also revealed what Pack 3 would be during that time as well. Um, they didn't show it off, but they did like announce the name of it, I guess, in the video for this. Rise of the Phoenix, that's what it's called. Phoenix, Gambit, Iceman, and Cable. And so that is coming on December 23rd. So by the time you hear this, it will actually be out on Monday. So I guess maybe you can play that at Christmas with the people who are still playing. I mean, like, are y'all playing this game?
I never
Did
bought
you
it.
ever play it?
I think
It's in my backlog.
I think Justin played it. I don't know if anyone else did.
Yeah, I played it with him when he was doing some streams too. So I played it at that time, and then Fire Emblem came out and just started playing that, and then other games started coming out. So it's there. I do want to complete it. I do want to get through the story and stuff, and I do want to. My kids love playing it with me too, so we just haven't been playing it.
Yeah, we like I kind of felt that way too. Like about like it's a really good game, but like other stuff came out and it kind of just superseded that, and I never really finished it. So the final DLC pack will be the Fantastic Four set that's coming out, and that is supposed to show up by July 30th, 2020. So they've got a long release window
Wow.
for that. And you can buy all three of these for $20. So if you want, it's looking like 12 more characters and new modes and different things like that. Of course, the first one that came out was Curse of the Vampire, and that had Blade, Moon Knight, Morbius, and Punisher. So you know those are already in there now. These another four characters are coming in, and hopefully we'll see some other modes added with the Fantastic Four. But Tim, let's throw it over here to you. Did you watch the Game Awards?
I was with you. Oh no, I wasn't. I was watching. I was
Yeah.
on the chat. That's
He
right.
was
You
in
were
the
on-
chat and joined us.
And then
in the
I came
post-show.
on after. Yeah. So
Yeah. So what did you think overall about the show? What were your highlights? Maybe even Nintendo highlights, and let's do this. Out of on a standard grading scale, A, B, C, D, F, what would you give the Game Awards, in your opinion?
So as a fan of games, I would give it an A. As a fan of Nintendo, I would give it a C. So,
Okay.
but overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was A. I thought it was an A. It did what I expected it to do. You know, it gave awards for all these different things, and then showed off some world premieres, which I look forward to as someone who likes games from all the different consoles. I like to see what's coming out because you never know. Some might make their way over to the Switch. Some may not, but I've always been at least a two console home, so it was good to see a lot of those things.
Anything that stuck out to you that you just really these were highlights of the show for you?
Besides Marty's tiny head that I wrote down here sometimes during the show, whenever you sat back, it just cracked me up. But definitely Ghost of Tsushima for PS4 was I kind of been watching that one, especially since it's from Sucker Punch, the people who made one of my all-time favorite games, Infamous and Infamous 2 and Second Son. I love this Infamous game, so but especially those first two. And I've been really keeping my eye on this one and that video, the last video they've had, even though there's no gameplay, I did see a little bit of it. I think PlayStation had a little bit of gameplay that they showed off, but the things I think that stuck out the most to me, other than Weird West. That was the other one too.
Oh yeah, and that one was not announced for any system. It was just shown, but I think with the art style shown, that one can definitely be a Switch title.
Yeah.
In fact, I wouldn't say expect it, but I do. Right? I mean, it doesn't look too graphically intensive.
It's like a high res West of Loathing.
Yeah, without all the humor.
Right. Well, you never know.
Yeah, and speaking of backlogs and West of Loathing, that's another game I've got to finish. Hopefully sometime soon on Switch. Okay, so Gary, did you watch Game Awards?
I didn't watch them live. I ended up watching a recap in the end, which I always feel is the best way to watch these, is the edited versions afterwards. I think it's easy to forget sometimes that these are actually award shows and not reveals. Like they're not E3. And I think I think the conversation going in was people making it seem like it was going to be the E3, the Smash reveal, the new game, the maybe look at Zelda, and it's not going to be like that. It's an award ceremony, right? For me, it was a good award ceremony. It did exactly what it said on the tin. And then a few surprises. Personal highlight of mine was the untitled Beaker game, which was the Muppets.
Yes. That was awesome.
It's really funny because my daughter's favourite Muppet is Beaker from like 2 weeks ago when we started watching all the Muppet films. And she plays Untitled Goose Game. So when she saw that clip of a face was just amazing. She was just like beaming with light and really enjoyed it. But she keeps loading up Goose Game now, saying Beaker's going to be on this soon. I'm like, no, he's not. I'm so sorry. He's not going to be. He is. I've seen it.
You're going to have to crush those dreams here.
I know.
Very
I
soon.
know. But that was. I mean, I saw people moaning about that. How can you moan about that? Like, seriously, the Muppets are the greatest.
That was like the best part of the show.
Yeah, and
That was a good break.
Reggie's speech was like, it was one of the best speeches in gaming in a very long time. I think.
Yes.
I think he hit it home. He hit it across the board as well. It wasn't aimed at Nintendo. It was the entirety of the game market, and yeah, I mean, the games that won the awards, personally, I think were definitely like standouts in their field, and all in all, it was a good show.
Yeah, I agree with you, Gary. A lot of those things that I was hoping for and even kind of saw winning did win, it seemed like. So it was pretty good.
So what kind of letter grade would you give this, Gary?
I'd say I'd honestly give it an A because I mean, as an award ceremony, it was a really good awards ceremony, and then there was reveals on top of that. That's my thinking of it. It is just an award ceremony. I mean, I remember watching Games Master and the Golden Joystick Awards back when they used to be shown in the 90s, and they were literally just an award ceremony, and they gave someone like an old like joystick off one of the old systems, just spray painted gold. They're a step up from that now. And
Yeah, I mean now you get churches and Green Day.
yeah, it's a sign that video games has evolved into much more than it used to be in the 90s.
Yeah. Just to speak to your point though about like it not being an E3, I get that, and I last week, I said don't expect Smash DLC 5 or Breath of the Wild at this. I don't think Nintendo is going to give that away at this. I mean, last year for them to do DLC 1 for Smash Brothers was a huge moment. But like,
especially since that was launch day of the game, I believe.
Yeah. No, it's about a week or two later.
It was close. Yeah.
The Smash launched on December the 7th, which was a Friday, and the DLC trailer was like the next week. It was like the 13th or whenever. I don't know.
It was the 6th. It was. Yeah. It was.
Oh, wow.
So when the Game Awards ended, the game was out. So.
Okay. So they launched the game with the announcement of the first DLC character. So that was a pretty big deal. But then you look at news like that broke this week that, they're still hiring staff for the developer that's helping with Breath of the Wild 2, which is Monolith. They're still hiring people to help with that game. So to expect a show of that probably was not a good guess. But you're right. People come into this and it's very clearly the game awards, not the game reveals. Right? I mean, we get all of this stuff simply because it has gained popularity over the years. People are watching now. People do take it seriously now. I mean, obviously Microsoft felt that way enough to invest time to reveal the new console at the Game Awards, which was a pretty bold move. I mean, they didn't tell you much, but you know it's coming now. You know what it looks like, which is even more than PS5's given us. The PS5 supposed dev kits that look like a starship. I mean, are they even real?
To coincide with this, Jeff Keighley actually tweeted out saying why people were moaning at him about reveals, and he said he basically said that there wasn't one more thing at the Game Awards because he likes to actually end the Game Awards on the Game of the Year, which is, you know, the highlight award. And I completely agree. I think what that's the perfect end to the Game Awards is the Game of the Year. I mean, we see this with I know it's a different sort of thing, but we see this with like X Factor and stuff, right? It always ends in a big glittery moment with the winner singing on stage, and you know, it's a big thing for those things. So the Game Awards should be the same. It should end on the Game of the Year. And that should be the big focus. And if they don't,
they're taking away from the purpose of the broadcast even happening in the first place.
Yeah.
Right?
So I mean, this is turning into a tangent, but basically, as an awards show, it was really good, and I think that's exactly filled its purpose.
That's good. No, we need to hear that perspective. Jesse, you and I both sat through it. The whole thing, commercials and everything. Now that you've had some time to sit with it, what do you think? What about highlights for you, and what kind of grade would you give the presentation?
Well, I disagree with how that, you know, in terms of an award show, it was an A. I think it was a lousy award show. It's never been a good award show. You know, even they half-assed the award segments of their own award show, and it seems to be getting worse every year. Like, there was two of them, you know, there was only a handful on stage. Most of them were announced on the sideline, and a few of them were just soft announced. Oh, this, you know, congratulations on winning blah, blah, blah. They also win this. That was it. And, like, if you weren't listening, you missed it. And I've done recap articles for PG Tribune since the start, and I've missed multiple times, and I've always had to go back and listen to it to figure out what I missed. So, and that's not getting better. It's you know, using the wolf in sheep's clothing analogy, it's a marketing event in an award show with award show clothing. So, as a marketing event, I think it's doing good, which is unfortunately why we saw so many Magic the Gatherings, considering it's one card game that has the highest revenue. They've got money to spend on to advertise their new expansions, but the whole thing about the Fast and Furious at the end, you know, someone said that probably paid for a quarter of the whole show, and I don't doubt that, even though that game looked like garbage.
See, this is the thing as well, because I watched the recap. Mine and Jesse's views are going to really be different if you watch the whole thing, because I'm only seeing basically the highlights, right? So what you're seeing as you're going through is a completely different perspective. So where I gave it an A, I gave it an A on a recap video. Jesse,
I have watched every TGA since day one, you know, so 5 or 6 years as it's been going on. So,
and I'll throw this in here too, Gary, as somebody who did sit through the whole thing. If you're going to make it 4 hours long, then all of those awards had time to be on stage.
Mm-hmm.
For as long as it takes to show a few clips, say a few names, and get somebody up on stage, a lot of those awards that were pushed to the side, like here's one I didn't understand. They gave away the award on stage for best sound direction, but then they put in and also winning an award, blah, 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 for best soundtrack.
Yeah.
And like that should have probably been swapped, in my opinion. I mean, highlight the actual music in the game, not the person who. Not that the person who directs it doesn't deserve anything, but what's more memorable there, right? I mean, what are more people going to remember? I think that you could do it. Excuse me. I think you could do it in half the time and still have premieres and do all the awards if they would just get rid of all of the junk. Like,
Hmm.
I'm a video game fan, been a video game fan for a long time. I do not need a performance from Green Day to convince me that video games are cool. That had nothing to do with anything video game related other than Jeff Keighley thinks Green Day's cool.
Well, this,
Uh,
this this is the thing you see. This is why these award shows are better when you're
And
watching like a hyper
content
edited version.
ID.
Yeah.
yeah. Like I get that, like here's the thing. If it's a video game award show and they're going to do a musical number, then it needs to be a performance of music from a game by a live orchestra. They do that.
And
They
they've
do
done that
it
in the
well.
past.
It's
Uh,
fantastic, but I don't need like big name artists. I don't need you to come out and say, "Hey, I've seen the trailer Fast and Furious." I don't need all that. Just do the show.
Yeah, like they do that a little bit. They did it relatively quickly the last week with select tracks from the nominees for Game of the Year. In past years, they've done that, but they've kind of spaced them out a little bit more throughout the show instead of just
Yeah,
here's 3.5 minutes of music for for 6 games, and then
right.
they gave them more
And
time in the past.
yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I felt like last year's presentation, remembering what I do about the 2018 Game Awards, it just flowed better. It just felt like, I don't know, it felt like it was and a little more respect was paid to those soundtracks. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh,
So the part I did like the best was the Beaker and Bunsen skit, though it was kind of for that being the people to introduce games for Impact left a mixed message. So I wish they would have used them in a better way.
yeah,
And
like why did they not have Reggie do his whole speech about the impact of games? I get it was about indie games, but I mean, he's talking about the impact of games and how they can make you feel and what they can evoke and all this stuff, and it would have lined up directly with that. But then you had the Muppets introduce games for Impact.
yeah. And then another game that I somehow missed when I did the show notes, but goddamn superhero no more heroes 3 was had another showing, and
That is correct. Yeah,
that was amusing once it all finally resolved, because with what they showed before they told us what it was, it made no sense. And then when they actually had that fake title in there, and then when it said No More Heroes 3, I'm like, okay, now the nonsense makes sense.
yeah, yeah.
Well, and apparently there's more to it. If you know more of the No More Heroes lore, like Donnie does from PSVG, he was all excited about seeing that because he saw he could see a lot more Easter eggs in that video than any of us probably would,
Gotcha.
unless you were a
I'll
pseudo
admit that
fan.
I'm not like I don't know anything about that series of games other than the dude uses a modified lightsaber.
Gary,
Yeah.
did you notice anything?
Save points or toilets.
I've got to be completely honest. I'd never played a No More Heroes game until Travis Strikes Again, and Travis Strikes Again was enough to put me off the entire series.
Well, I heard that-
It was very far from my game of the year.
I haven't played any of them, but I'm just understanding that the first 2 were better than
Yeah,
that. That was
What we got
just a
was
bad
not a
game.
representative. It was not representative of those first 2. Yes.
Right.
So
If you don't mind, we waggle controls.
I mean, who doesn't mind we waggle controls, right?
So
So
from-
Jesse, just overall, I mean, what A, B, C, What you thinking?
I'm. It sounds harsh, but I'm thinking more like a D. You know, all the big announcements. Sure, they were great announcements, but nothing I care about.
Right? You know, not gonna run out and buy a Series X.
Not a launch. You know, again, you know,
Yeah,
I've
probably
never
not.
owned. I've never owned an Xbox before. Not saying that I'll never own one, but it needs a damn good exclusive for me to want to invest in it.
Yeah, and let's talk about that for a minute. So the
Because
first game that was
right
shown
now,
off,
'cause I've had a PS3 and PS4 near launch for both generations. At this point, I have no plans of buying a PS5. Not until I see something I want to play.
yeah. So the first game that was shown off for Xbox Series X was Hellblade 2, the sequel to Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, right?
Which is
In an
not the game
extremely
I'm wanting to see.
creepy, weird commercial where we really did not see any gameplay footage whatsoever. Um, Also, contrary to that, we had a game announced for PS5. Am I right on that? Which was
Yes.
God, God something.
I I didn't. I don't have it in this
about
notes. But
mythology.
yes, that did happen. But I don't remember the name of the game.
Godfall. Godfall was the
That's
name of
it.
it. Now I remember. So these are the first two games announced for your brand new systems. Use the Game Awards to announce pretty much all of it. Um, I just like, I don't know.
It's always
At the
awkward when
risk of
there's a new
sounding like a
generation.
huge Nintendo fanboy, which I mean, I do like other systems too, I promise. But like, is that enough? Like, I'm not played Hellblade, so I don't know. Is that enough? Like to
The-
convince me to like be super excited about this already?
I mean, you got to think back. It's one of those awkward things, really. And every system launch, and when it's building up to it, they'll announce a few things. Like when the Switch was coming out, right? We heard the what Dragon Quest and something else was announced, and the Switch really didn't look like it had a library when it was coming out. It looked like it was going to be worse than the Wii U at one point. And this is really early for the Xbox Series X and PS5. It's very,
True.
very early. So the
That's
reveals are
fair.
going to come next year.
Yeah,
And it's
I'm
always
sure E3
awkward.
is going to be flooded with nothing but the next gen games.
It's always awkward when it comes to a new console coming up and a console release because the first couple of games don't even look like they're that much different. And this happens every single time a new console's out, and you always get that, well, the games don't look any different. But they're the first games. They're not optimized. They're not, that comes eventually later on. It's only really been some of the Nintendo games that have really like made use of their new hardware, but by that we're already generations behind in terms of graphical power, so that's probably not as tough as it is for the other guys. And we have the same story every once in a while, but there is something interesting that's happening over here. I don't know if it's happening for you guys over there, but if you buy an Xbox One, where X or S or S Digital at the minute, you can do it on a subscription service. And that includes Game Pass and internet and all that. But when the Series X releases, you can actually take that console back and upgrade to the next one as a part of that payment plan. So
Yes, they are doing it here.
I think they're going to be some interesting things with next gen, and maybe you won't have to shell out 500, 600 pound or whatever it is for the next gen. Maybe you could just pay per month. In which case, I'd actually get it day one for that reason, because
I would say that's a really good deal. I mean, like,
It's like
or a
cell
really
phone.
bundle.
That's how you buy cell phones. So
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Well, everything's like what I mean. Like we joke around sometimes about other things. Like everything's a subscription service now, right? You got Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, Xbox.
and excuse me for not really talking about Nintendo for this section, but honestly, the greatest thing that's happened to games in the past 5 years has been Xbox Game Pass. As a hardcore Nintendo fan, that is my honest opinion. Like Game Pass is absolutely amazing, and I would love Nintendo to do something like that. Will it ever happen? No, I
Yeah.
don't think it will. But it really is. I mean, Nintendo could even do an Indies Pass, and
Well,
that
you
would be
can
worth
even
it.
look at our own community, and you've seen a lot of people already call out, hey, it's on Game Pass. I don't need to buy it for the Switch.
Oh yeah, and
So
I've done that myself. I've got
yeah,
Hollow Knight,
And
Dead Cells.
and a
It's
lot of the indie games have been on Apple Arcade, which I still haven't subbed to, but I'm getting close to wanting to.
hmm
Yeah, like we talked about last week, Most and Shantae. I want to play them on the Switch. They're still stuck in Apple Arcade limbo. So I don't know when that's going to happen and if it's going to happen.
hmm
I mean, it is. They got announced at one point, but
makes you wonder if something's going to give. What that something is, I don't know. Is it going to
well,
be
you
an
guys remember
Xbox
a few
or
years
xCloud
ago.
on the Switch, or is it going to be another cloud service on the Switch?
yeah,
You guys
and
remember
sorry,
back,
carry on.
no, like back a few years ago, you saying something's got to give. If you guys remember a few years ago, there was like 1 or 2 years where on shelves were Skylanders, Disney Infinity, Amiibo, and Lego Dimensions
hmm
all at once. And out of all of those, what was the first to give? Right? Well, it was Disney Infinity. Disney Infinity gave because that was not selling. I mean, that was beautiful. The game sucked, but the toys were awesome. Then from there it was Skylanders. Then it was Lego Dimensions, and now you can hardly find Amiibo anywhere, and they're barely producing them. And what I'm afraid of is that one of these links in this chain, so to speak, or one of these things, once it goes, other things will start to go with it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And I think that's a smart question to ask is like how many things can the normal person subscribe to, be a part of, blah 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 blah.
And to be honest, this is where I think Xbox has got it perfectly right, because you are getting the console and the subscription service and the internet service all in one for a monthly payment. And I think that's actually genius. That's a reason to keep that go to do that. I mean, you're getting 100 games straight off the bat on a new console, whether they're old games or not. It doesn't really matter. I mean, we buy ports on the Switch, right? And it's an interesting way of looking at the
And
future
beg
because
for virtual consoles.
yeah,
So, yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting way of looking at it because does this mean that if Nintendo does another console, they're going to do the same? Because if PlayStation, Xbox both do it, Nintendo could actually be left in the dark again.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially
and I
with the
think
xCloud, because you can use your mobile device
Yeah,
to
and
be
let's
able to
talk
play
about
games on that.
xCloud,
So
right? Because I've been using xCloud for the last couple of weeks. I got approved for the trial, and it doesn't work very well. I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't work very well at all.
yeah, and
Apparently,
there's some
it doesn't
people
work
who,
well.
who it is too,
Yeah,
but it is beta, so it
but
is.
a lot of people are saying in England that it's not working for them. So maybe they haven't got a
Well,
data center actually in England.
that's
But
that's what I was going to say. They may not have an EU data center yet.
but
Yeah.
but when it does work, oh my god, it's amazing. And I would love xCloud to come to Switch. I know that's a rumor. It's not going to happen, but that's a rumor that was happening for a while, right?
Right.
And I think the streaming games is also going to be the future. You're not going to need a console. I just don't think it's ready yet. I really don't think it's ready yet.
No, Google Stadia is proving that right now that it's not ready.
Ah,
Yet.
yeah, but to be fair, that's Google. That's all on Google's marketing, and they did a terrible, terrible job. They managed to make a worse
Speaking of bad
product.
commercials during TGAs,
Oh,
Yeah.
that was awful. Let's wrap this up. I want to mention something here. There was one moment in the Game Awards that I think kind of just was where it kind of jumped the shark for me, and that was where we've had all these game premieres and we've had all these Game Awards, but then we take 5 or 6 minutes to allow a world premiere of a Magic card, and I was like, this
I
is
didn't see
stupid.
this. I
Well,
didn't see this.
they cut it out of the recap because it was moronic. It
Yeah,
was
right.
stupid. Like you are literally taking time away from game devs and creators and things to allow the Magic the Gathering team simply because they backed dump truck of money up to your house.
Well, that
Jeff
card
Keighley.
was also for the Magic, the Gathering Arena too. So not just
Right,
the card
but they
itself,
didn't make that clear at the beginning. That came
well, that
much
whole campaign wasn't clear. Yes,
right.
but not
And
until
that's
the end.
it was to me it was super tone deaf and like I kind of thought that like, I love board games and I love card games and I love video. Like I just love gaming in general. I would not want somebody to come and make a announcement of a brand new board game or a new game, board game in a line of board games I like at the Game Awards. It's the same thing as like Facebook games. Like when they spend time advertising Facebook games on the Game Awards, I'm just like, guys.
So
See,
see, I didn't take
would-
it that way. I didn't
would-
take it that way.
I would say the Facebook games thing's a little bit different, right? And I know that I can't remember who it was, but they got a bit of flack for saying like you're a gamer at heart, even if it's on Facebook or mobile gaming. And I actually do believe that is true. I think that if you're playing games to some capacity, you might not be a gamer as the term suggests, but you do play games. So I think that Facebook games at the Game Awards is completely fine. I do, and it's but it is weird that these things, as Jesse said, they're marketing, right? You don't give awards out just to give awards out. You give awards out for marketing and for profits and for whatever it may be. You don't just do it out of the kindness of your heart. And it's unfortunate that this is how they earn money.
It all wraps into what audience are you expecting to tune in?
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it isn't the Facebook gamers. Just like last year's BlizzCon when they announced a mobile game, everyone had a conniption because the people who go to BlizzCon are PC gamers.
Yeah, and like that's what I mean. I see it from all angles. Like, yeah, the Facebook games, they are a game, and if they had an award ceremony there for mobile games, as in Facebook games and stuff like that, then that so be it. But you're right.
Yeah,
I mean, people aren't going to tune in for that.
It
but
could be, give it a category. That's fine, but they're not your target audience in the show like this.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
when watching the awards, I wrote down a lot of notes. So because I knew I'd be talking about it with you guys, right? So I wrote down all the things that I liked about it. For the past several minutes, you guys have been killing it. You guys have been complaining about it. So, I mean, I know we started off saying, what grade do you want to give it? What did you like? But come on, there's got to be something good that you got out of this, right? There should be something.
No,
what did you like
okay.
about it?
That's fair. That's fair. I did like. I love that they brought back Reggie. I thought that was fantastic. I thought a lot of the world premiere games looked really good, even though they were on other systems. Like I definitely thought that I am legitimately, I legitimately had my interest piqued about the Xbox Series X. Seriously, I want to see what it can do, mainly because I feel like PS4 or PlayStation has kind of lost the plot here near the end of this generation cycle as far as what gamers want and what they're looking for and what we
killed
want
it
our
last year,
consoles to
but
do.
this year was
Yeah, the whole crossplay thing has kind of put a horrible taste in my mouth. Kind of like the whole Xbox One reveal put a bad taste in my mouth for Xbox. I think that I really don't I did feel that Nintendo's presence was lackluster. I would have liked to have seen more, but I think that the awards they won, like Gary said, were very, very right. I guess is a way of saying Player's Voice winner, Fire Emblem Heroes. That's huge, or Fire Emblem Three Houses is huge, considering that a couple of cycles ago that this was a game franchise on the verge of bankruptcy, right, or being phased out.
Yeah, I think they said if Awakening didn't sell well, they were gonna pretty much kill that franchise. And
Yeah,
it was the best Fire Emblem game sold at the time, and then Three Houses I think beat that, or if it didn't, it came close.
yeah. I think finally it did. It did beat Awakening.
It did, yeah.
Smash Brothers Ultimate winning Best Fighting Game was great. I do feel like it was. I knew that Death Stranding would probably not win Game of the Year because of Keighley being in Death Stranding. Even though a panel votes on it, right? But I like we talked about on the live stream, it's not about who votes on it. It's about how it looks and about how it would look from that perspective of having it win. But I still can't wrap my head around Sekiro getting Game of the Year. I thought that should have gone to Smash. But other than that, I mean, it was. Oh, and what was her name? What's the girl's name from E3 that they brought out to give the award?
I don't
Ikumi?
remember her. I don't remember her name. I just call her Kawaii Girl because
Yeah,
she's
she
cute.
was amazing. She was amazing, and Beaker and Bunsen were amazing. So there's all the good stuff.
She is just so energetic.
Well, and then don't forget Luigi's Mansion 3 got Family Game.
Yeah,
award,
yeah,
so
and
that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for just a minute. That was an entirely Nintendo dominated category.
It was the Nintendo award. Which
and
Nintendo game is going to get the award?
I saw some tweets around the time that award was given about how way to buy the Game Awards, Nintendo, blah blah blah.
Now, how about get your act together, other consoles?
Right.
Not everything needs to be a pew pew or a sport game. Or
the thing I wanted to ask you guys was, what games from other consoles do you feel like could have been nominated in that category?
I mean, let's face it, right? The family games is always going to be quiet this year because Fortnite's dominated kids, right? They're playing Fortnite. They're playing Minecraft. Minecraft was the most viewed game on YouTube this year. Where even though everybody thought Fortnite was the hot game this year, Minecraft still won, and it won by a lot. And I think that's just a sign. Like, there's not going to be that many family games because the kids aren't interested. They're playing Fortnite. So I think Nintendo is the only company still focusing on family because of that. Everybody knows that it's a wasted attack at the minute. If you're going to try and aim a game at like 12-year-olds, tough luck. They're playing Fortnite. And I mean, it's an awkward category in itself because a lot of people took it as like families playing one game together, which it kind of is, but it's also just family friendly game, right?
Yeah, Ring Fit Adventure, I wouldn't consider a multiplayer game.
While
multiple people can play it, just not at the same time.
And a lot of I actually saw a lot of people moaning about Ring Fit being in this on Twitter because of that. And I don't know if you guys saw, but I actually deleted my Twitter for like a week or so just to get away from some of the negativity on there because it was getting out of hand. Like, people were really terrible about the Game Awards, and then we had an election here where people were even worse about. And
that happens to us on Facebook here.
The Game Awards was the actual thing that started the ball rolling for me deleting Twitter for a while, and that was one of the things was like sourness about who got sort of in as a nomination. And I think that the Family Award couldn't really go to much else. And I think, and that's not taken away from Luigi's Mansion because Luigi's Mansion completely deserved to win that award, right? I mean, even on multiplayer, it's fantastic, but the single player is like the most. It's basically an Illumination Studios film, which is good because they're making the Mario film, as a game. It's the most animated that the Mario Kingdom has ever been. It's the most voice acted, apart from maybe WarioWare Gold, that the Mushroom Kingdom has ever seen, and it's just full of so much charm. It's almost like Mr. Bean goes to a scary house, isn't it? Right? Like it's that sort of silent humor, sort of. And I totally think it deserved the award. And I think a lot of the Nintendo games up there do that. And again, some of us are multiple console owners, right? I got PC, I got Xbox, and I got Switch. There's not a single game I would give the controller to for Erica to play on the Xbox that released this year. If she plays anything on the Xbox, it's now Untitled Goose Game, which is this year, but it is on Switch first, or Super Lucky's Tale. So all the games that I would say the family play in this house, they all are on Switch.
Yep. And that's a good one.
I guess
that Super Lucky's Tale. It would have been a good one to put on there.
I guess that, like, you don't want that category to get pigeonholed as the Nintendo category, but if other companies are not supporting family gaming or whatever you want to call it, then that's what it becomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like I get the question a lot on the other podcasts I do, you know, about student ministry and video games, about what consoles are best for large groups, and I continually recommend the Switch, simply because, you know, when you've got a large group of people in a room and you're wanting to play, um, you know, a game that which console out there has games that capture the most players that can play at once? It's a Switch. You've got, you know, all these games like Mario Kart can play four, Astro Duel Deluxe can play six, Smash can play eight. Why would you want to have, you know,
Jackbox can play all of them.
Jackbox can play everybody. Um, and there's all these games like Overcooked and Stretchers and the Lovers in the Dangerous Space Time and things. There are multiple people, and it's easy to break those Joy Cons off and play together. And I think that is the essence of family gaming. I think couch co-op, everybody's in a room together playing, that's the essence of family gaming. And so maybe even if they want to try renaming that category, you know, going forward, or repurposing that category going forward, I think that might be something to look at. Not that I don't think Nintendo should have the sweep of it, just that it gives it some variety, right?
Yep.
So just a quick question before we carry on, because I've been out of the podcast loop and stuff. Did you guys do the your game of the year at the minute? Did you already do that?
It's funny that you mentioned that, because right now we are running a contest to determine our game of the year with the help of our patrons. And so, Tim, why don't you explain that?
Sure. And actually, it's not just the patrons that get to do this. We actually opened it up on Twitter and Facebook as well. So anybody who follows us there can go to those areas and click on the link to vote. It's basically just a Google form, very simple, you know, just thrown together type of thing, based off the tracking sheet that Jesse actually uses throughout the year. I use that to put in, you know, the things that we tracked through since from December of last year up to November through this year. And basically it's tracking per month what games were released per month. And actually it's not just games, but basically it could be DLC. We're also asking for people to vote on, or an event that happened that we were tracking. I think the Switch Lite was on one of the places there. So, but basically starting with December.
I track hardware releases on that sheet too.
Yeah. So on December 2018, that's when we started that month. So kind of following the season from December 18th, January 2019, and February 2019. You got those 3 months. That's going to cover the winter, starting with the winter season. And then it goes into March, April, May, which will be your spring season. And people are voting for each of those months what their top game is, or top Nintendo thing, I'll just say. Then you got June, July, August, which is our summer season. And then your September, October, November, which is the fall season. Each of those months, everybody could vote for what they wanted to vote for. And I closed the results as of tonight, actually, so that we can do the next round after we talk about this round, which is everybody voted for each month. The winner for each month will be put up against each other for those seasons. So the winner of the season will then be our next topic for the next show, either the next show or the one in January. So, for example, for December 2018, the clear winner at 80% of the votes was Super Smash Bros.
Yeah.
If I didn't win, the whole form is just garbage.
And now for a word from our sponsor. Do you like Magic? Do you like cards? I'm sorry.
Nice. And then this for January's vote, for more than half the votes, we got New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Which I guess the next biggest one was Zelda 2, actually, the Adventure of Link. A lot of people voted 23.3%. of the votes were for the Zelda 2 release on the NES Online, which is interesting, right? So, like I said, it could be
Yeah.
it was not just like say new releases. It included the online releases and indie releases. So whatever the crowds who were taking the votes were into, they voted for those things. And then February, to end out the winter season, was the biggest vote was Wargroove with 46.7%. And then with 23.3%, the next biggest one in that month was Final Fantasy IX. So people voted for that one too. So it was very interesting to see those results. And that is to give you an idea of those 3 months. That's the winter season to begin with. And so when I put out the next poll, it'll be putting those 3 games, those 3 winners, up against each other to see who's going to win the winter season. And then once we get each season, once we're done with that vote, we'll talk amongst these things that people voted on and have a discussion of each of the winners of those seasons, and then we could pick what we think out of those 4 seasons is our game of the year, and then we put the vote out to see if the listeners agree. So that's how we've been working it, and that's how it's going to work going forward.
Yeah, that's really cool. And thanks for getting that together, by the way.
Sure.
You and Jesse working together on that. It's been awesome. I'm
Mostly
excited
him.
to see.
I just been doing the legwork collecting the data all year round.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but you were working on it ahead of time. You just didn't know it.
Right.
So would you like me to start
the-
going through the rest of the seasons?
Yeah, go ahead, man. The March through November. Let us have it.
All right. So we got March 2019. This is starting the spring season with 56.7% of the votes was Yoshi's Crafted World. And then April 2019 with 50% of the votes was Cuphead.
Wow.
As it should be.
And then May to end out the spring and this one was pretty split up, not evenly, but pretty close, with the biggest one at 36% being Castlevania Anniversary Collection. That's what got the May votes. Everything else got split up. So between like Resident Evil 4 and Team Sonic Racing.
That was a weird month. If I'm thinking back to that, there was like no really big release that month.
Except for that, apparently that Castlevania. Everybody voted for that one. So, and then going into the summer, this is where we started picking up on those games, right? The game releases, especially around E3. The biggest vote there, but not the biggest vote through the whole entire poll. I think it came in second. But for June, Super Mario Maker 2 won with 60% of the votes. The next biggest one at 30% was Candace of Hyrule. So, but June had
Cadence.
Super Mario Maker 2. Cadence, sorry, yes.
Yeah, I was wondering who Candace was.
Cadence, yes.
Candace Cameron of Hyrule.
Then July, we had 48.1% of the votes for Fire Emblem Three Houses, with a very close, or the next closest being 37% for Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. So it looked like it was a good fight there, but Three Houses won. And then August to end the summer with the biggest votes out of all of the poll was Astral Chain at 72% for August.
Wow, that's crazy.
Everybody blew that one out of the water. They were for sure on that one, essentially. And then ending out our poll with the last season, the fall season, with September, we got 33.3% for Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. And then October with, actually this would be the second biggest, was Luigi's Mansion 3 with 63.3% of the votes. And then November, which had very close votes because we split off. We didn't count Pokemon Shield and Pokemon Sword together. We counted them separately so people could vote on them separately. But together, they were the biggest votes for Pokemon Shield and Sword. But Pokemon Shield won with 16.7%, with Pokemon Shield being next at 13.3. Or excuse me,
Wow.
Shield
Wow.
was 16.7, Sword was 13.3. So, and then those together is about 29%, 30% there of the votes for a Pokemon overall. And then there was a tie with 13.3% for that month between the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate DLC Fighter 4, Terry Bogard, Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, and The Tourist.
You know what I find interesting about that data there, Tim, is that out of all the top games, and you can go back and look at your list and correct me if I'm wrong here. There is only one game that is not a Nintendo first party published game. Is that correct?
Let's see, Wargroove.
Oh, no, there's two.
Cuphead.
So Wargroove and Cuphead.
And Castlevania
Being-
Adventure Collection.
Well, yeah, and Castlevania. It's interesting to me that those are the three non first party games. And I get that they kind of landed or launched during times when there weren't those big first party games, but there's other opportunity. Honestly, I thought The Witcher 3 would probably be higher on the list than it was.
Yeah, I didn't think Dragon Quest Builders 2 would win the category, but I didn't think it would get trounced that bad.
When did Witcher come out again?
I think I think that it goes to show
Witcher
like
was September.
Okay.
it goes to show what games are released at the right time as well, right? Because I mean, in those quieter periods, if Daemon X Machina had released then, maybe it'd have got on the list at some point. But
Yeah.
Daemon X Machina got released in the middle of a sandwich of Fire Emblem, of Pokemon, of Astral Chain, of Zelda, and it was right in between all of those. And it didn't stand a fighting chance against them. I loved Daemon X Machina. I thought it was a really good game, but there's no way it was going to win against those guys, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, guys, that is our Game Awards wrap up and our Game of the Year introduction and beginning here. Tim, can people still go vote in that poll, or have we moved on to the next one?
This poll is shut down. We're going to be starting up the seasons poll to vote for these ones that we found out the winners were, to find out which ones are going to win out the season. And
Okay.
then so that
And
poll
when,
will be
when will
going.
that when is that starting and when will it end?
That will probably start anytime between Friday and Sunday when I can get that poll out.
Okay.
And then it'll end the next time we want to start talking about it. So it could be the next show or it could be next year. So
All right. And legitimately next year is not
Yes.
that far away.
right.
So we're not being hyperbolic there.
It could be 1 week or 2 weeks, I guess, if you want to put it that way.
Okay. Very good. And that will be posted all over our social channels. So if you're a Patreon subscriber, that will come out to you via email message or notification there on Patreon. It'll also be on Twitter. It'll be on Facebook group. We would love for you to vote and come and be a part of helping us to figure out what the Game of the Year, Nintendo Dad's Game of the Year is, because we're going to put the Nintendo Dad seal of approval on that, and we don't just slap that seal on anything.
Just like Nintendo.
That's right. Well, I
Thank
mean, we
you.
don't even know.
That's right.
You know why we don't slap it on anything? Because we don't even know what the seal looks like yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't slap it on anything. We don't slap seals. We're all good dads.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
Right, with that, guys, I'm actually heading off a little bit early. So, Merry
Okay.
Christmas to all of you and our listeners. It was great to be back on. Hopefully, I'll be back on more next year.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's it. That's Gary out.
Merry
Very
Christmas,
good to
Gary.
have you, Gary.
Merry
Thanks,
Christmas.
Gary.
Christmas.
all.
Happy
Goodbye.
New Year. Always good to have Gary on. And with him exiting the show for this episode, now is a good time to transition over and talk about the Nintendo Switch year-end review that many of us got in our inbox this week. So let's discuss. So, for those of you listeners who are in the North American regions, we got an email this week and also a link to a website where you could go and find out some really cool Switch statistics for 2019. What you'll find in that website is that your total playtime has been tracked, what your top 5 games of the year are, what 3 days you played games on Switch the most, how many My Nintendo Gold points you had, even when you started your journey with Nintendo Switch. And so we've got a few of these from us pulled up here. Tim, do you have yours? Maybe.
Sorry, I was on mute there. Yes, I do. I do have mine
No,
up here.
you're good. Jesse, you've got yours, right?
Yep.
All right. So let's talk about these. You can save these images here. For those of you who are watching along on YouTube, I'm showing it on my phone there.
Got mine.
Let's talk about our most played games. My most played games were Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, Pokemon Shield, and Tetris 99, which is interesting. Actually, I was pointing out to the guys earlier, interesting fact, that when I ran this on mobile, that's what I got. But when I did it on the desktop site, my most played games changed. Tetris 99 left, and Mario Maker 2 got added in. So there, you might find a little bit of discrepancy there. But Jesse, what about you? Your top played games?
Okay, well, I'm looking at the desktop version, so it's showing me top 5, but it's showing Pixel Pieces, Dragon Quest Builders 2, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, because I basically played the game twice, and then Picross Lord of the Nazarick and Picross S3. So you can see what I've been playing most.
I love how mine and yours are like almost completely different. Picross, Pick-a-Pix, Picross, and Pokemon. What about you, Tim?
So I have my top 5 as well because I got the website up. Fire Emblem 3 Houses, Fortnite, Luigi's Mansion 3, Asphalt 9, and Silence was one of the games I reviewed.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah, okay. Well, now you've made me want to go to the website and find out my top 5 so I can be cool like everybody else. And it's loading up as we speak. But Mario Maker 2 again was one of mine there, and I want to say the other one was it was probably Enter the Gungeon because there's never a year that I'll play that. Wait, here it is. Here we go. Mario Maker 2. Oh no, Smash Ultimates, Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, Tetris 99, and Astral Chain.
nice.
It actually was not even on my original list there. Pokemon Shield was, so that must be number 6.
Yeah. I poked on Discord my son saying I wanted to see his stats. He must not have seen it, so I'm going to have to ask him this weekend to pull it up. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like, because he probably put 500 hours into Smash by itself.
Wow. So how many hours have you played?
Another 500 into Fortnite.
How many hours have you played Nintendo Switch games in 2019, Tim?
I can't.
And how many games have you played?
I have to preface this because I know there's a lot of people in our community who have thousands of hours or over 1,000 hours of time on their playing hours, and I want to know how they find the time to do it. So, and still work and do other things because I only have 160 hours listed on mine.
Wow.
Okay.
So.
Wow.
But
that's kind of low. Is lower than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's surprising when you look at it. But when I look at it, I play when I go to bed. I'll play for a couple hours there, or I'll play on the weekend when I can, play a good chunk. And sometimes it doesn't work out on the weekend. Sometimes I pass out when I go to bed, so it just doesn't work out for a lot of times. But I think this past couple months I played a lot more than I did the rest of the year. Probably made up a lot of that time there.
So how many games did you play this year?
59 games.
59 games.
Yes.
Okay.
Probably because a lot of it I had to test out or review too. So.
How many hours of Nintendo Switch games did you play in 2019?
I have 867 hours over across 73 games. And
Okay.
Ibicel asks if your kids play on separate profiles or your profile
Mine do.
on separate.
Separate profiles.
Yeah, my kids
They
have
have their
separate
own.
systems, so no one.
Yeah, so
My
do
kid.
mine.
Yeah, these hours are all mine.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Same
for
here.
me, it was 510 hours played across 129 games.
Wow.
Yeah, we get a lot of review copies. So yeah, a lot of those are like indies and things like that. Um, I love this next part here. The you spent the most time playing Nintendo Switch games on these days,
Yeah.
and it shows you the top three. For me, then it also shows an hourly breakdown per month. My top Nintendo Switch day was November 7th, which was ironically uh, my swipe at Extra Life. So not much surprise there, actually.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
I
think.
didn't even think of that, but yeah, it makes
Yeah.
sense.
The other two were September 19th, which would have been at the launch of Zelda, and September 27th, which would have been right after the launch of Zelda. So you probably know what I was playing during that time. Our the fun part is my lowest month for time spent playing Nintendo Switch games was June. I only played for 25 hours. The highest one was September. I played for 59 hours. So
Wow.
almost doubling my time. Well, actually doubling my June time. So, Jesse, what about you? What's your most played day?
It's July 22nd. With my third place is July 21st. So I'm actually bringing up old show notes to find out what I was playing. I have a feeling that would have been Dragon Quest Builders 2. And then the number 2 date was August 6th. That's the one I'm kind of curious about. And my highest month is July, which again Dragon Quest Builders 2, and the lowest month was September with only 28. My July hours were 144, and September was 28 hours.
Wow. Okay. Tim, what about you? Most
Yeah.
time spent playing Nintendo Switch on.
I have January 18th, which I'm using my app, the parental app, because I like using it to look up these type of things. So trying to figure out what did I play on January 18th, but it's not showing me exactly the date, but during that month we had Travis Strikes Again that came out at that time. And at sundown, it looks like, was another game that I had to review, so that would make sense somewhere in there. One of those two games probably had me playing the most on January 18th. And then the next date was October 5th, which during that month, Ghostbusters, so that makes sense, and Darksiders 2, and then Asphalt. So those Ghostbusters I had 8 days, and Darksiders 2 I had played 7 days worth, I guess, or on 7 days. So that makes sense. And then November 1st, I have Luigi's Mansion, but that would make sense because I would have been playing that right after Luigi's Mansion probably launched. My lowest month, I guess I can't count December since we didn't necessarily finish December.
Yeah, I didn't count December either.
So the next one I have September and May with 4 hours. And then my highest hour months were October, August, and August with 26 and 25.
Okay. I think this, we'll skip over this, how many gold points we've earned and all that, blah, blah, blah.
Actually, well, before we move on, that August 6th was the week I played Picross Lord of the Nazarick and PictoQuest.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so you were knee deep in all of those. I get it now. I think these things are super fun and helpful. Just to see, especially for us, like to see our gaming habits and think back, on games that we've played all year and things like that. But I found the hours spent just fascinating. as well as the days that I actually gamed the most on the Switch, which is super cool. By the way, I'm glad they threw all of that in there. Um,
What was your
and
first game? That was at
hmm,
the very top of the list. You said what the first game you ever played on your system?
oh, Zelda.
Nice. Actually, mine was Fast RMX.
Oh wow,
I thought mine was going to be Zelda too, but
living on the wild side over there. Um, just a really cool thing, and hopefully this will spread out into other countries as well in other regions. Definitely because I mean it's super cool. It just may be they rolled it out here and they're rolling out later in other places. But a nice little recap, fun little walk through the year from Nintendo to all of us here in North America and that region. Yeah, and I love the way they did the presentation as well
yeah, it was pretty
on
cool.
the site and everything there. Guys, let's jump very quickly into what we've been playing, shall we? And like we mentioned last week, we have been reading your survey responses. And one of the areas that you guys kind of brought up that maybe we needed to trim a little bit of the fat was right here at what we've been playing. And so we're just going to kind of go through and very quickly hit one or two games each week that we have been playing. Not try to give you a review on them, just tell you why and a couple of bullet points and things as to why we think you would enjoy this or why we enjoy it. So, Tim, I'll start with you. What have you been playing?
So I think mine will be quick because of the holidays. I haven't been able to do much time of playing. When I have, like I said, when it's going to bed, I've been playing Luigi's Mansion 3. And usually on the weekends is when I spend the most time playing Jedi Fallen Order on my PS4. So this past weekend I didn't get to play that, but I did play more Luigi's Mansion. I got to level 7 finally, I think. Yeah, I just opened up floor 7 and getting ready to play that one. So that's what I've been playing. Very simple. Because I
Would
talked
you
about it
recommend
before.
Fallen Order, by the way?
Most definitely. I am
I
loving
have the
that game.
opportunity to get it for $25 from a local Redbox
Yes.
as
Yeah.
they're clearancing those games out, and I've passed over it, and
25
passed over
bucks
it, and passed
definitely.
over it. I'm gonna go pick it up
I'm
tomorrow.
surprised there's still games left in it because they're all gone on mine.
Oh no, we got games down here. Welcome to the South, boy. We ain't got no internet, but we got games you can buy from Redbox.
Nice.
You got the hookup. Death Stranding is also $25, and I will not be paying for it. Sorry, I'm not gonna play that game. I
Maybe
know
I'll
what
have you
people are
pick it up
saying.
for me, and then I'll pay for shipping.
I could do that if you want to do that. I'll see if I can still find one around here. Jesse, what have you been playing?
All right, so I continued playing the Talos Principle. I talked a little bit about it last week. Um, I, I found out that the different color pieces represent level difficulty in addition to what they open. Like the yellows are, I think the green's the easiest, and they open other areas. Then yellow opens up additional items. Like you can't use the teleporter. It's not a teleporter. What they call it? It's like a rewind feature. You actually make a copy of yourself. You can't use that until you've unlocked it. And so if certain areas requires that puzzle or that object to solve. And then there's red ones are the hardest ones. In every red one, there's a place where you can ask for help, but you always get the response of you can't help people. You can't get help until you've unlocked, until you found someone's location. So I thought that they were just, and that they unlock additional floors in this elevator. I thought that there was I couldn't figure out any way to solve any of these puzzles, so I thought maybe this is a requirement. I found out that now these are still solvable somehow. And you're limited to 3 uses of that hint system in the game. So I'm like, okay, I'm glad I didn't burn any yet. So at this point, I'm thinking of I'm already stuck to it. I need to use a walkthrough. Or I stop playing. So it kind of brought me down a little bit. I was liking it up to the point where I got stuck.
Right.
Okay. Then I went back to my backlog, picked up Dragon Quest Builders. Yeah, I've had that since launch, almost 2 years ago. It was like February 18. Um, that was the date of my original save file. I I didn't go through the character creation again. I just kept what I had, but restarted chapter 1. Because I played the demo and got to the point where you set the teleporter down, but you can't go through it in the demo. I thought that ended chapter 1 and teleporter brings you to chapter 2. But no, it just brings you to a different island in the chapter 1 world, and you eventually get up to 3 teleporters to warp around to get access to different things. So yeah, that first chapter took, I'd say, probably 15 to 20 hours. Yeah, very similar to the length and what they were in Builders 2, where and I said it in 2 and I'll say it again. If at the end of chapter 1, if that was the game, I would have been satisfied. Felt like I got good content out of it, but that was just chapter 1 of, I think, 4. Then when I finished chapter 1, it opened up the sandbox island, which I don't care about. But then, so I'm in the middle of chapter 2 now. I have 1 teleporter and trying to find items to solve certain puzzles, but I haven't found the items yet. So I'll be working more on that.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for that.
And hopefully after that, I'll get Dragon Quest XI to start. I haven't done that yet.
And that surprises me, actually, that you haven't dove in headfirst to Dragon Quest XI. But
that was the plan, but then I had like 3 review games in a row. So that's
true. That's true. Well, let me talk just a minute about what I've been playing. Just one game has kind of caught my attention this week, and that is actually 2. I backed that up. Shovel Knight King of Cards. I talked a lot about this last week, about kind of my feelings on it, mixed feelings. I managed to finish the campaign on that this week. Super duper satisfying as a platformer. Still cannot stand the card game. But the good thing is that after John Blanco reminded me of the cheats that you can buy, I never lost another Joustus game after that. So
nice.
It was not necessary to the story, which was wonderful. But the only gripe I could say I have about King Cards is that the end game story felt a little lackluster. For this to be like the finale for Shovel Knight, right? It felt a little hollow. So that's all.
My understanding.
That's a different game.
What was that?
Mm-hmm.
That's a different game. Felt a little Hollow Knight.
Yeah. Right.
Sorry, it was a stretch.
What were you saying there, Jesse?
Well, what I'm understanding about the card games is, while it's optional, completing the card game missions does increase your max stats, making the rest of the game easier. So it's optional in air quotes.
You're exactly right. Also, another game I've been playing that I am super excited about is new Super Lucky's Tale on the Switch. A lot of the locations in this game have, they've had things added to them. They've had new paths, new ways of completing the level, all kinds of stuff from the Xbox version. And the team over at Playful Games just knocked this out of the park. I love new Super Lucky's Tale, and I cannot put it down. The humor is awesome. If you're a fan of rare collectathon type 3D platforming games and you're not playing this game, shame on you. You owe it to yourself to play some new Super Lucky's Tale. It is just awesome. So that's what we have been playing. Guys, anything else here before we close out episode 259? Not a moment too soon, because it has been a super long day. I came straight here from seeing Star Wars, and I'm literally falling asleep as we record.
I'm this weekend. I'm probably going to record a little mini show of just talking about the Pokemon Go events that we passed over 2 weeks in a row. And it's last week Niantic announced like a whole month's worth of events, so some stuff I do want to talk about. But also I'll get that out, either a YouTube video
Okay.
or put it on the audio feed at some point.
Yeah, so if you're into Pokemon Go, be looking for that from Jesse. He is the man on Pokemon Go events and knowledge, and so be checking that out. Tim, you got anything else?
Yes, I'm putting together the next episode of the dinner table. I think because I will be off during the Christmas holiday break, I'm going to do one that Friday after Christmas. And one of the questions I'll probably be asking anybody who wants to participate in that is, what did you get for Christmas? So any Patreons listening to this, if you'd like to join that episode, just send me a message.
I'll see if
Awesome.
Matthew wants to join, because technically
Okay.
he's a patron, so he qualifies.
Yes.
Right.
And because those people in the chat said they enjoyed having Matthew on last week's, so
Yeah.
we'll get him on more.
You're more than
And-
welcome
and we
to
will-
jump on.
And so you don't have to dig for it. We'll shoot out a message over on patreon.com/Nintendo Dads so that you can find out how to be in the know about the dinner table and come pull up a seat and chat and discuss with us all the good stuff over there. And Tim is doing a super job with that. Super cool what you're doing with the dinner table. Well, guys, that has been episode 259 of Nintendo Dads. And as we close out the show tonight, we want to say a huge thanks to our Patreon producers. That's Chris Mears, Dave Ernsberger, and Sean Abbott. Thanks so much for backing us at that level. And thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for backing us, whether it's $1 a month or anything higher. You are helping make all this content happen, helping our team expand. And we hope you enjoy being a part of the Discord and all the other rewards you get as a result from backing us. The biggest reward is our friendship and our gratitude. And we're super thankful for you. You can check us out over at nintendodads.org for all of our social media, all of our YouTube tweets, podcast episodes, merch page, all of that. That's nintendodads.org. You can also find us on the social medias at all of the typical ones: Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube. Just type in Nintendo Dads. Boom. There we are. Also, you can email us at nintendodads@gmail.com or podcast@nintendodads.org. You can leave us an email that way or call in and leave us a voicemail at 929-25-NDADS. That's 929-256-3237. If you do that, we'll play it right here on the show and answer your questions. Big thanks to OC Remix for the music used throughout the show, and Adam Leonard and Carter Johnson for the sweet artwork they provide for us. Be sure download and subscribe from your favorite podcast app of choice: CastBox, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, Spotify, and be sure to leave us an awesome review over there to help more people find the show. For me, for Tim, Gary, and Jesse, this has been episode 259. Hope you have a merry and happy holiday. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
This could be the best Nintendo Dads ever.